I left government in 2011, but again, it is being driven by the Federal Ministry of Trade. That's why the National Office for Trade Negotiation led the way. But usually what they do, they put a cross-sectoral consultative body with the organized private sector led by NASTIMA. I represent NASTIMA on that framework, and I'm surprised because I think that where NASTIMA is, then the organized private sector is. But then, you know, Nigeria, everybody wants to flex their muscles, so it's okay. Then I believe Labour really should always be involved in these things, if only to represent the formal sector, because the Labour in Nigeria really covers mainly the formal sector. But I know that Labour speaks for the people. Internationally, that is acknowledged. I've worked very closely with them. I cannot imagine them coming up with a view that will not tally with what across the board will benefit the generality of Nigerian people. But the important thing is that the issue of CFT is driven by the Ministry of Trade. And don't forget, whether deliberately or by gargantuan error, we operate in silos in the government system. So it is quite possible that the Ministry of Labour was not in picture of this because it is a trade matter. And we don't have this cross-sectoral relationship, cross-ministry, interministerial relationship, and this has been happening in the past. This is not the fault of this government, but it's time now to change this. And I hope we learn a lesson from this. Immediately, an interministerial committee should come in and look at this and take a decision. And that decision, unfortunately for us, because right now the thunder has been stolen from us. 50 countries already in Kigali, and Nigeria is here in Abuja. What are we going to do? So whether we like it or not, we really have to. We have to, and we must. And we must go on with this. But again, let's lay the framework on this cross-sectoral basis for us to know how to implement. Because signing the agreement is one thing, implementation is another thing. You could implement in a way that will favor you and help you resolve some of your own inherent contradictions at home.
Mr. Adetokunbo, I was just about to make reference to what the Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta says this morning, of course, in the opening statement made by some head of state to kick off this very important event. And he said, of course, on his Twitter handle that, yes, this agreement will be signed and all other imperfections shall be dealt with moving forward. Quote unquote, kind of paraphrase what President Kenyatta says there. Now, since the World Trade Organization, which is the body guiding trade for all the countries around the world, this is the second of largest of such trade deal ever been signed. 54 countries, not even the European Union has something as big as this, considering the size, almost 2 billion people are involved on the African continent in this deal. I will have the largest share of that market, but we're not there. So the world will be watching Nigeria very closely. What is going on? What do you think, and how do you think the European Union, those guys discussing NAFTA, whatever it is, the WTO, will look at Nigeria missing in action?
Well, again, what can we do? The CFTZ, the Continental Free Trade Zone, will be the largest of such bodies in the world, globally, if everything as is coming down today, and we should have been there. Secondly, it is up within the framework of the WTO, and Nigeria provides actually highly appreciated leadership in WTO framework and the nature of doing business. And I was with them in Argentina in December, and we are able to make our points felt and provide some level of leadership, and they actually also work within the framework of all the other regions and blocks there, and we are appreciated. What can I say? The important thing is that you can sign this agreement and you come back home and look at how you want to implement it for your own best interest. This is how international agreements are signed. The fact that you've signed the CFT does not mean that you are like a chicken, tied, your hands and legs are trussed like a turkey to be put in the oven. No, you will implement it within the framework that best serves your interest. You will leverage on your own opportunities, even the challenges, which ultimately becomes opportunities. The fact, for instance, that we need at least $200 billion for our infrastructure will create a lot of employment here. Now, if we have signed this, we can now source cheap funding, source for grants, source for very low interest rate facilities to fund our infrastructure and create skills so that our young people can gain from that infrastructure funding. Because if you don't do that, for instance, look at the Chinese rails. What technology is being transferred there? What gains are we getting? How many young Nigerians are working within that sector now, in laying the rails and building up the technology and all the things that comes with it? So we need to, it's a lot of work we have to do. What about the power? What's the advantage? Recently, they just went to inaugurate the sugar plant in Niger State. Fantastic thing. I need to thank the companies that did that. But there's a power component to every sugar plant. Where's that factored in? How is Fashola keen into that to enable him at least increase his output? So there's a lot of sectoral opportunities, cross-cutting opportunities that can be gained from the CFTA. And also, I don't want to even talk about the diplomatic side of it.
That's a story. That's a story for another. That's a story for another day. But of course, I have a very quick analogy to say thank you. So you're just listening for these few seconds, sir, respectfully. What you've explained so far in this conversation sounds like you want to own a bank. You've not applied for a banking license, but you're asking people to bring deposits.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Thank you very much. We thank you very much for being part of the program.
Take you serious.
No, it's not going to happen. Yeah. You don't have a license. You don't do that business. Thank you. You can't remain a bachelor forever. Yeah. Something just has to happen. Thank you. Put your house in order, and let's get back to CFTA. Thank you very much, President of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Adetukumba Kayode, there on this very important day. Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about Dangote Cement earlier. Shipping cement across border. Dangote numbers looked very good for full year 2017. The Nigerian market was slightly weak, but the rest of Africa is helping Dangote Cement make money.